Okay, sorry about the lighting on here. I literally don't know what to do about that. It's okay over here on my phone. I'm in two places at once, by the way. Okay, so also we have the samples. Awesome. So cool. So this is specifically for somebody who requested a reading, but I'm going to be posting this in case it happens to resonate for anybody else who is in a similar sort of energy, who is wanting guidance, who is wanting clarity, etc., etc. Specifically, this is a love relationship sort of situation, so that's what we're going to be focused on. But I already did kind of take notes. I already did start taking notes, and the first thing, before you told me what you wanted me to focus on, the New Moon and Scorpio card came out, Work Through Your Fears, and we also had a time for healing. And when you told me what you wanted me to focus on, I kind of shifted gears. Like, I kind of recognized that, like, you know, also I'm going to just get off here. I think that's a little bit of a distraction. I'm going to actually not do that. 111 on the timer, by the way, if that means anything. And I think potentially the fear that you might be having is around, like, something having to do with, like, being single or, like, not being with this person specifically, however that resonates. You know what I mean? But, you know, because we're talking about love and relationships, like, you know, and I don't know, maybe there's a different fear, however the fear thing resonates for you, but then we have it here as I shuffle the deck, and there's a card that fell. 1 second. So I don't use reversals, but we do have your dream, scene, a practical plan in reverse. So that's an energy that is present, and then once again, a time for healing. Taurus energy, Scorpio energy, kind of polar opposites in a way. Well, they're more like cousins, I guess. I don't know, however you want to say that. But yeah, when it comes to the person that you asked me about, the person that's on your mind, the person that you're thinking about, one thing I wrote, don't give all your energy to a man. That's one thing I wrote. Because I was doing readings recently on live stream, and a lot of them came back to the idea of, like, you know, it's okay that you're obsessed with this person. It's okay that you love this person, but, like, don't get into the habit of, like, giving them all your energy, emotion, and attention, you know what I mean? Because personally, there was a cup or whatever, I don't know. But personally, I believe that as a woman, you have a natural connection to the divine, and I think in a way, you can do whatever you want with that connection, whatever, but I think in a way, you're kind of dishonoring that connection by, like, being so up a man's behind, you know what I mean? So that's what I feel about that. We have the Three of Wands, literally the energy of looking towards the future, thinking about the future. We also have the Three of Cups. You might be thinking or seeing the number 3 a lot. Queen of Swords right underneath that. Three of Cups, Three of Wands. Like, I don't know the details of your life, obviously. I don't know the specific social dynamics of your life, obviously. But, like, once again, I do stand firm in that idea that, like, as a woman, as a person who has a womb, you have a natural connection to the divine, and you should honor that to some degree. You know, and I'm not saying that you aren't necessarily when it comes to this person that you asked me about, but it does seem that, like, maybe to some degree you might have, like, abandoned a sense of yourself for this person. Spirit, what's going on? What do we need to, how does this person feel about us? And I say us, but I'm talking, this is for you. I have no stakes in this. How does this person feel about this wonderful individual in front of me? How does this person... We have indecisive, overwhelmed, and then we have forgiveness. It's actually funny. I was on live stream and I was doing a reading for somebody, and this came out when somebody asked me how do they feel about me. There was another card that also came out in addition to that. But for you, we have overwhelmed and indecisive. And it's like, I don't think that this person is very stable within themselves, and maybe you already know that. Maybe you already recognize that, but this person is not very stable within themselves, you know? I'm getting the energy of somebody who likes to start arguments, somebody who likes to you know what I mean? And maybe they have regret, maybe they understand, you know, their faults to some degree, but I don't know, that seems like a very immature energy. And sure, maybe we all have growing to do, we all have, you know what I mean? Nobody's perfect to some degree, but I don't know, I feel like you as the person who is like wanting to get readings on somebody, like there's a certain level of how do I say, like spiritual energy, I guess, when it comes to somebody who seeks information, who seeks knowledge, who seeks truth to some degree, you know. And if somebody else is not doing that and you're trying to like it I don't know, it just doesn't really work, man. You know, we have irreplaceable here at the top of the deck, and sure, maybe that's how you feel about this person, maybe that's how they feel about you, maybe that's how you feel about each other. Like, you're both irreplaceable, and the love that you had will never be replaced, you know. Daydreaming, I'm always longing for you, but that doesn't mean that it has to keep going forever and ever and ever, you know what I mean? At least not in this lifetime, I don't know. You know, I think a lot of good things are okay to end, and that's okay, you know. It doesn't make it any less of a good thing, it just means that it ran its course. We have a new romantic cycle begins, new moon in Libra, and we also have luck is on your side. Expect powerful change, meditate, and contemplate. I don't know how much you've been meditating, I don't know what your spirituality looks like or whatever, but that's definitely something that should, I think, personally be incorporated every day. Like at least 5 minutes a day, you know what I mean? Just taking time for stillness and meditate. There's another card now, everybody was wanting to show up, you know. But yeah, I mean, and if you don't have to do anything that I'm saying, you don't have to listen to what I'm saying, but if you choose to let go of this person, I do see you finding a lot of fruitful endeavors, you know what I mean? A new romantic cycle begins, and then luck is on your side, expect powerful change. And maybe it's not even about necessarily letting this person go completely, it's just letting go of your emotional attachment to this person, letting go of, like, you know what I mean? Because I said this recently in a video out here. There's no inherent right or wrong when it comes to relationships. There's incompatibility, there's morality, there's differences, there's disagreements and all that, but there's no inherent right or wrong. It's just really a matter of what you feel is working as individuals and as a pair, you know what I mean? And the indecision card comes out again with worry, and yeah, like, this person does not seem like they have a good head on their shoulders right now. That doesn't mean that they won't someday, but it seems like this person doesn't really have a clear picture of what they want their life to look like. And I think personally, once again, recognizing the divine feminine, recognizing your womanhood and all that jazz, I think it's really important for you to be with somebody who is in their purpose, who knows what the fuck is up and like knows what they want for themselves, like outside and inside of relationships, you know, like we're not just talking about relationships, but like in life, you know what I mean? Like, you know. And then we have the death card. Oh my gosh, the wind is picking up. We have the death card flying up because the wind, I might have to, oh my gosh, I have to, okay, so the wind is kind of picking up, so I'm going to start putting these back in the deck just so that they're not like laying around. I don't usually record outside, so this isn't usually something I have to deal with, but I have been recording outside a lot more, so oopsie daisy. And that might be relevant within your life or within the relationship specifically. Originally I was gonna just do a general and see like everything. I mean, so there could be another aspect of your life where there's a need for you to work through some sort of fear, and without going too deep psychically or whatever, that might be something to look into, you know, unrelated to the person that you asked me about, the relationship that you asked me about. Sorry, I'm putting these back in the deck because I don't like my cards flying anywhere, and that's, you know. Okay, so I do have the Soul's Journey deck, the lesson cards that I'm going to pull from and see what kind of energies we need to look at and examine and reflect upon and all that jazz. And now I'm specifically pulling in relation to the relationship, the connection, but also in general because, you know. So what's going on for the person in front of me? What do we need to hear when it comes to this relationship, to this connection, and just in general, Spirit, what's going on? What's going on? We have purpose, and gratitude. Like I just said, I think it's really important as a woman to be connected to somebody who is connected to their purpose, and not somebody who's just kind of getting by to get by, you know? And like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but like, I don't know, I have to assume that everybody who comes to me is at least spiritually adjacent, and I know that that's not necessarily true. I'm not saying anything about you specifically or anybody watching this, but like, if the shoe fits, the shoe fits, you know? But like, I do recognize that there are people who come into these circles, come into these communities, not necessarily wanting spiritual enlightenment, but more so, I don't know, there's other things that people want, I guess, I don't know. But because you're in this space, because you're in this energy, like, I have to assume that you're spiritually adjacent. And if that were true, it would be really necessary that you align yourself with people who are also spiritually adjacent, people who are also, you know what I mean? And I don't know, there's an inner child energy coming through. I feel like the last few readings that I've done, inner child energy has come through, so that could be relevant for you. I think I might have said that to you last time I did a reading for you. I don't remember a lot of the times when I do readings for people. Like, occasionally I might remember some details if it's relevant to me in some way, but like, generally, like, I do these and then it's just like, okay, well, whatever. But that's an energy that's coming through, and re-examining the things that we wanted to do as children, or as a child, singular, individual, re-examining the things that we wanted to do as a child, going back to the drawing board in a way. And, it doesn't necessarily mean uprooting your entire life, but just reconsidering, maybe adjusting to, like, implement some more inner child joy. We have the empathy card, that heart healing energy, and once again, not everybody's the same. Not all women are empathic, not all women are like, and not all men are cold and vicious, you know what I mean? But the empathy card does kind of give me the energy of, like, as a woman, I think it is more important for you to be with a man who has empathy, you know what I mean? I don't think Beauty and the Beast is really a good pairing, Joker and Harley Quinn, you know what I mean? I don't think that's really the most healthy thing. We do have the fear energy coming through again, so that's a thing. Solar plexus energy, yellow, the sun, sunlight, solar. You know what I mean? I'm not judging. However this resonates for you is how it resonates for you. I just hope that it's helpful overall. You know what I mean? I hope that it's at least a spark of something in the right direction. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the person that you asked me about, I could pull more cards on that because I feel like that's kind of the vibe. What's going on with this person that you're thinking about? Can we get a clear, accurate answer, please, Spirit? What's going on? What's going on? Watch it be I'm not going to call it, but yeah. Shadow side. This person's literally in the dark. Reveal. Destiny. I don't know. One thing that's coming through, at least for me personally, is that you can't really care for somebody more than they care for themselves. And I'm saying that because there's a part of me that's kind of like, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting, but there's a part of me that's like witnessing this energy and kind of being like, babes, I really want better for you. I know I don't know you that well. I know we're not necessarily friends, but just the Christ energy in me is just like, you could do so much better. You could have so much better. You know what I mean? And that energy is coming through for me, and maybe it's relevant for you. Like, once again, you can't care about somebody else more than they care for themselves, more than they want good for themselves. You know what I mean? And I know I found myself in that position a lot of times, like caring about somebody, wanting the best for somebody when they didn't want the best for themselves. We have reflection, overwhelmed. Yeah, this person, I feel like this person definitely was a lesson. I think all relationships are a lesson if we choose to look at it that way. If we choose to look past the lust, look past the sexual confusion and all that jazz. I think one thing I'm feeling, one thing I'm hearing is that, like, one thing that this person taught you is, like, that it's okay, that you are okay on your own, that you don't necessarily need a person to be in your life, But I don't know. Maybe somewhere along the line something happened and it was like, well, I don't need this person, but that makes me want him more or something. I don't know. I don't know. I could tune into some other energies, see generally what's going on for the person in front of me. Once again, if anybody else is watching this, this is a personal reading. This is for somebody specific. So please don't try to make anything fit. I'm tuned into somebody else's energy specifically. So if it happens to resonate, awesome. That's cool. But this is for a specific person. Queen of Pentacles and the Four of Wands, also the King of Wands. So there is relationship energy. There's couple energy here. But the Four of Swords would indicate taking a break, taking a pause. And maybe, I think you said you're already on a pause. I don't remember. Once again, people tell me things. I get information and I kind of forget because it's not my responsibility to kind of just know things 24/7. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes up, it'll come up. Like, if I were to be talking to you, it would probably come up, the information. But it's not, I'm not consistently just like, oh yeah, I remember they said that they were on break like 3 weeks ago or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. We have the Knight of Swords coming through. Spirit, what you got to say? We have the King. We have the Six of Cups. Being kind to ourselves, being kind in general, kindness. Could also talk about patience, family, childhood. Like I did say, the childhood energy. Maybe something happened in your childhood that kind of makes you look at relationships in a certain way. And I feel like that's such a cookie cutter thing to say. Like, of course, everybody has something in their childhood that happened that made them fucked up, right? But I think it is true to some degree. Like, most of us, our kinks come from something in childhood, which is really gross to think about. We don't need to think about that for too long. But that is a thing. Like, most of the things that we're attracted to or repelled against are things from the childhood, you know? And when we take the time to really reflect upon that and look at that, then we're able to kind of readjust and, like, maybe attract things that are more favorable for us overall. You know, that hermit energy, taking time to really reflect, meditate on ourselves and think about, you know, how we're showing up and how we're allowing certain things to happen, all that jazz. And I don't know, maybe you already do that stuff. Maybe you already do shadow work. Maybe you already journal. Maybe this is their energy. And that's the big reason why because I don't remember what I said last time, but I think I did say an idea for you to end this connection. I don't remember. But if I did say that, that's probably why I said that, because I don't think that this person is on your maturity level, and I think that to some degree they probably have been taking you down a little bit, siphoning your energy, siphoning your clarity, you know what I mean? And, you know, that doesn't mean you can't still love this person. That doesn't mean you still can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's enough understanding in the world to understand that people do evil things not because they are necessarily evil. Some people, yes. But people do evil things because they are misguided, because they are hurting, because they feel like it's necessary, because they feel like they have to, you know what I mean? And it's up to you whether or not you can take that as an excuse, but, like, that's generally how I understand evil to be. It's not necessarily somebody being, once again, some people, yes, some people are just genuinely geared toward seeing people suffer, but most people, it's just a misunderstanding. It's a misrepresentation of what's actually going on within the person, you know? And so to say that, I'm not saying that this person is evil, but I definitely feel like this person has brought you down a little bit in energy, in consciousness, in awareness, you know? Whether or not you recognize it is another thing, but, like, most men are conditioned to be very, like, destructive, you know, very self-centered, very destructive energies, you know, and I'm speaking as a man, you know, who was technically conditioned to be that way, but throughout some way of the world, I don't know, some way of the gods, I developed empathy, and, you know, I'm not who I could have been, question mark, you know, and maybe to some degree that applies to you. Maybe you were raised a certain way, but you rose above it. Maybe that applies to you. I'm not sure. I could also be accounting for the fact that other people might be watching this in the future. I don't know. Obviously, I'm trying to channel a specific energy, but, you know, however it resonates, however it unfolds, you know. But yeah, there's another message coming through about being careful what you ask for. Because the person that you asked me about, I personally feel intuitively that this person is not good for you. You know what I mean? And if you're going to ask for your highest good, if you're going to specifically ask the universe, hey, can you please align me with my highest good, align me with my greatest path, and you're willingly interacting with people who are not conducive to that, there becomes a little bit of a resistance, of a friction, you know, and it causes issue. You know, so there's that message coming through. Being careful what you ask for, being careful what you speak aloud with your tongue. I mean, and even if you want to go so far as to say, like, being careful what you wish for in your mind, because that's the thing too. But maybe that doesn't necessarily have to apply specifically. Being careful what we wish for, being careful what we ask for, because the devil can grant a lot, but he's not. I don't think he's really in the business for like making you happy or making you feel at peace. You know what I mean? He'll give you what you want, but like, will it be what you need? Will it be what your soul needs? I don't know. So I'm gonna close this out pretty soon. I'm gonna thank you for your time and energy. I hope that this was overall useful to you. If I were to offer you any closing messages, I would tell you, I would remind you, hey, I hope you know that you're beautiful and you're amazing and magical just the way you are, And you don't need a man to like reflect that to you. You don't need a man to like show you that. And I know you know that on a fundamental level probably, but you know what I mean? Like, and there's plenty of other fish in the sea. There's plenty of other, you know what I mean? There's plenty of other people who would be willing to like love you in the proper way and make you feel like a woman. You know what I mean? So that's what I have for you. Remember, miracles happen all the there's a squirrel. Remember, miracles happen all the time. Jesus loves you, and whatever you're going through, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, is temporary. And if you have any follow-up questions, you're welcome to ask via the Patreon or whatever. And for anybody else watching, if you found this useful, if you found this helpful, you're welcome to engage with the video. Give me a like, give me a comment, or whatever. I don't know. But either way, have a nice day. Stay groovy. Keep your head up. Bye.